rumble wheel rides the road. The ground underneath my boot heels burns right through my soul.
Very steep. There's the trail. Oh. I think I passed her. She's in here somewhere. Well, I don't know. I'll go up a little farther. Might as well check. Should be getting a bounce. I think I was. Huh. I don't think she's in the camper. Other side, maybe. Huh. Interesting. Oh, look. Trail magic. Tasty. Give me a little sugar boost. Huckleberries. There's a whole bunch around here. Look at this. Oh, there's more. Boy, I can't help but get distracted by these. Oh, they're gorgeous. That's one nice thing about this line of work is these little sweet trailside incentives. If you know where to look, you can just graze or browse, whatever you want to call it, as you do your work, and before you know it, you have a big handful. Look at that. Some more. Those are good. A little tart, but a good little boost. Now, where's that snake? And there she is, sitting out basking. This is a first. I should carefully look around, make sure there's no more snakes. Look at her, gorgeous snake. She is so dark. Okay, I just had a realization. If she's sitting out here basking this time of year, that can only mean one thing. I think she's gravid, and this must be her gestation spot. I mean, that's a hypothesis. I don't know for sure. The only way I'll know is if I keep an eye on her and she gives birth right here. But the chances that I'll see that are really slim. And the chances that this is a gestation site are pretty slim as well, but she is staying here an awful lot longer than she did last year. So it's a possibility. Well, I'm going to sit down and record my data and see if she stays there. I hope she does. She might. She knows I'm here, I'm sure. I need to look around and make sure there's no more female rattlers sitting around. If this is in fact a gestation site, it could be one that has been used for a very long time by rattlesnakes. I don't see any more rattlesnakes. Just her. But this is a first. This is the first time I've seen her out of the woods. She's about 10 feet from cover, that direction. And then if you look up here, it's totally clear all the way up to the camper. Now this time last year, this was a big jumble of debris from trees that had been cut down in the past. And all that jumbled debris made excellent cover for this snake. But now there's no more cover, so she's forced to sit out in the open to get sun. I mean, that could be dangerous for her if a hawk flew over and recognized her as a prey item, but as long as she doesn't move, raptors will not see her. So she's safe. And she would probably stay here until, I would dare say, a little bit after dark, and then she'll move. Oh, now she's moving because she's aware of my presence. I'm going to just sit down and try to make myself as low profile as possible and see what she does while I reach into my pack and get out my data collection gear. She's holding her ground. Okay, she's in the shade, so I need to take a temperature reading of the shade. She's flicking her tongue a little bit. She is so dark. That is amazing. I don't know if this is a response to sitting out in the sun. I'm not really sure. But I need to get a picture. Before she crawls away. I know she's going to. At least I assume she will, because she's out in the open. And she's going to feel very vulnerable. Yeah, she looks like she's getting ready to. There she goes. Sorry, Zoe. No, that's the first time she's rattled at me in a long time. That was really, really neat. It looks nice to hear her rattle. All right, so she's down in the cover now. I'll come back up and finish my data collection. Now that was a really neat thing to see. I haven't seen Zoe sitting out in the sun in a very long time. Probably about, I guess it was about this time last year actually. So really cool to see her just sitting right there beside that rock. And how dark she was. I don't know if you could see that on the camera, but she was so dark. That's just really interesting to me. I wonder if rattlesnakes have the ability to change their color somewhat in response to a lot of sun in order to absorb more heat. I don't know. I need to look this up, see if there's anything about it in the literature. Of note also, right here on the ground, about 3 feet from where Zoe was resting, a couple of things. These are eggshells from what I believe to be an eastern box turtle. That's what they look like to me anyway. Now, when you find the eggshells of an eastern box turtle on the surface, it can mean only one thing. They were predated by probably a raccoon. That would be my bet, my best guess. I mean, it's possible the turtle laid its eggs up in this area and then a big storm came and washed them out of the soil after they had hatched, but I've seen so many eggs destroyed by raccoons. That's what this looks like. And then right below that, dove feathers. Several dove feathers here. What I think happened was, look at this, here's a couple more. Small dove feathers, little feathers from the body of the bird. I believe a raptor hit a dove, brought it down somewhere near here, and had lunch. So really cool, a lot of wildlife activity right here in this little clearing. And that's actually why there's a lot of wildlife activity in this little clearing. Because it's an opening in the forest and it lets the sun in. So the rattlesnakes come to sun and catch some rays, thermoregulate. The box turtles come here to lay their eggs because this rotting vegetation all over here on the ground, as it rots, it gives off heat. Also, the rock and the sand and the soil gives off heat. It absorbs the heat from the sun during the day, and then at night, these rocks and the sand radiate heat out through the soil into the eggs, and they incubate quicker. And of course, the dove was probably here. In fact, there's some little tracks here. I don't know, I don't think it's bird, but it could have been. You know, birds will eat grit like this, and then that grit helps them digest their food. Well, if there was a dove sitting here eating some grit and a hawk happened to fly over, well, the hawk could get himself some lunch. And I would bet that's probably what happened. So this is a really great area for wildlife. Not to mention a great place for humans to view wildlife. So whoever lives here, they have a great wildlife viewing area. This is excellent for everything from birds to box turtles and even to rattlesnakes. Amazing. I would love to have a place like this because the value of having a place like this to protect for wildlife, it's just wonderful. Because wow, I mean, what you could do with a piece of land like this is unbelievable in the area of wildlife conservation. You could easily just keep the land wild and put a few trails in for yourself, for your own use. But then, you know, maybe a home site for you. And then the greatest thing would be you could build brush piles when you clear your trails, you know, yearly. And those brush piles, you just leave them. You don't burn them, leave them. And wildlife will come and use the brush piles as habitat, nesting areas, feeding areas, cover. And then every year when you clear your trails, just keep adding to the brush piles and it'll just get better. And then of course, in a place like that clearing, you could plant food crops, although you really don't have to do that because these huckleberries are everywhere. So there's already food crops. There's deer sign. There's deer here. What a great place. So really, there wouldn't be much you would have to do if you had a piece of land like this, I'm saying, to make it into just a wildlife haven. You know, because we're you know, you've seen this land as I've walked through it, and where I am now is a ridge, and this ridge has nice thick cover and of all kinds. And then down below there's a field, okay, and then a lake was recently built, well, a pond, and then a fast flowing mountain stream. There's so many different habitat types here intersecting. Oh, and I forgot to mention, not only everything that I just mentioned, but also the convergence zone between the field and the forest in some areas has been allowed to just grow wild, not been mowed in several years. And that is what the wildlife like box turtles, birds, rattlesnakes love. They love that kind of overgrown, weedy looking habitat that we would call wasted space or wasteland or whatever. It's not. It's actually perfect wildlife habitat. So all these different kinds of habitat working together to provide the best possible habitat for wildlife. It creates diversity, and that is what you need if you're going to manage for wildlife. And really, I say manage, you don't really have to do much, so that's the good thing. See if I can cross this fence without hurting myself. What's left of the fence, this tree fell, see? Took the fence out, and now it's a path over the old fence. But you can see here, I'm walking in the forest here, but just over there, there's a field. Now that field's mowed, and that's fine, because that gives a grassy habitat for animal like deer, who would like to come and browse on the grass, the different grasses they can find. But then, as you saw earlier, we walked through some really tall grass. Other animals like the tall grass, like quail, the bobwhite quail, you're familiar with that bird, has virtually disappeared from the mountains here. And part of that is because of mowing. The quail doesn't like this kind of grass. They don't like mowed areas because it offers no cover at all. Quail like areas that are overgrown like you wouldn't believe. And what that provides is cover for them when they're feeding and nesting. So give them what they want, and you will have quail. You won't have to do anything but give them the habitat they need. It's brilliant. You're probably thinking, well, why didn't anybody ever think of this before? Well, they did. It's been thought about it's been the way things worked for eons. And then, some time ago, people got it in their head that a grassy green yard is what they needed. I don't know where that came from, unless it was just propaganda by the companies that wanted to sell grass seed and fertilizer and chemicals to make that monoculture of grass. And when that started happening, people started cutting their grass and ripping out plants like blackberry brambles and all the other herbaceous plants that the quail need to survive. See this? This is more like it. This is starting to look like good quail habitat. All back here behind me. It's all overgrown. Lots of places for the quail to duck and cover and run and hide and search for tasty morsels in the grass. And the briars, of course, the thorns, blackberry brambles and such, provide amazing habitat, not just for quail, but for countless other creatures that all work together to keep nature in a very healthy balance, and including the rattlesnake. Because without the rattlesnake, you're going to have an overpopulation of animals the size of chipmunks, because that is one of the rattlesnake's favorite foods, the chipmunk. Beautiful, beautiful land. Look. Oh, here's some mint. See the mint? It's mountain mint or horse mint. I'm not too good with identification of most plants. Breath freshener. Very spearminty. I think I may have just eaten a spider too. A spearmint flavored spider. Kind of crunchy. And if you take a look over here, right down in here, look at this. This is great. Oh, I just stepped in some deep water. But as you notice, where I stepped, water came up. Look at that. See that water? There's a little bog in here, like a mountain bog. That moss is sphagnum moss. It's an indicator of mountain bog habitats. It's a very small area in here. Probably no more than, oh gosh, I don't know, 100 yards one way and 25 or 30 yards the other. But this is another very special habitat that only certain animals and plants exist here. Most mountain bogs have been destroyed, taken in the name of farmland and such. And these areas are home to animals such as the bog turtle, which is a federally endangered turtle. Very small, one of our smallest turtles, but beautiful and so rare. And for all these places like this to disappear would be so wrong. So wrong. I'm glad to see that there's one still existing, and I hope it stays. I hope whoever owns this land protects it and keeps it healthy. Oh look, another benefit of leaving your habitat wild. Look at these. These red berries are soon to turn black and become blackberries. And then I will have another tasty trail treat. And here we have another one. Rose hips, wild roses. These rose hips will provide birds and other animals with food come wintertime when nothing else is available. And of course you can take rose hips when they're red and reddish orange and they squish, and you can make a nice tea that's very high in vitamin C. So this field is perfect for wildlife. And you can see deer have been here. See the trail I'm walking on? Looks to be that a deer walked through here probably this morning, browsing on all the different vegetation that can be found here. And I'm using the same trail because it's easier. Lots of clover. And you can see that it's old agricultural land from this old barn. I don't know the last time it was used for production of whatever they were producing here, but it's been a while. Looks like it was animals, of course, probably cattle. Jewelweed, very useful plant. If you ever get poison ivy, crush up the stem of this plant, rub it on the area that you were exposed to poison ivy, and it will render the poison ivy harmless. Awesome. There's Godzilla, my Toyota. I'm almost back. I'll tell you one thing. Walking in this thick grass is definitely a workout. Okay, so we found Zoe. Right out in the open. Awesome. Maybe, just maybe, she's gestating some young inside of her body, and she might give birth at that very spot. Or maybe she's just basking after a meal. Hard to tell. She really didn't look that big, so I'm leaning more now towards she's digesting a big feed of some sort, like a chipmunk maybe. We'll know soon enough. because soon she should start moving over into the woods behind me to the location where she spends a couple of weeks in August every year over at my friend's house. I'm not going to mention their name on the internet, but it's behind me in the woods here. And we'll see what she does. If she stays where she is right now, that might say something, like maybe she is gestating. If she moves, I think he's on the other side of this ridge or somewhere close to this ridge top. Oh wow, now it's getting louder.
Is this the same one that we caught?
This is the male. We call it the female.
Okay.
Huckleberries. You can eat them. It's like a blueberry, but a little bit tartar. They're pretty good. But if you get bitten, you follow me of your own free will. I didn't coerce you. No, you don't die. You just wish you were dead. The worst, most dangerous thing in here, of course, is chiggers.
Little red bugs that on your skin and itch like
Make you
fucking crazy.
freaking maddeningly itchy. Good, he's not right there. That'd suck. Although, every single time, knock on wood, I've came upon these snakes in the wild, they never struck at me, rattled, or anything. They just sit there. Now, stepping on one would make things happen. Oh, wow. It's crazy. It fades out drastically that way. It's almost like he's right here. But the signal is still not that strong. Of course, now he could be having a malfunctioning transmitter. Let's try something here. Oh yeah, he's close. He's really close because I put it in a more sensitive mode. He is really right around here in these blueberries somewhere. Okay, don't come past me, please. I would bet he's around in this tree here. Because there's also copperheads out here. Oh wow, now it's suddenly a little bit louder. Yeah, he may be backed up against that dead tree. There he is, right here, right in front of me. Sitting right there. I'm pointing right at him.
Oh yeah, I see him.
Yep. There he is. Not even rattling. Very cool. But he's flattened out. Oh yeah. Yeah, man.
That was really cool.
Oh, you're welcome. All in a day's work. Now let's go have a zip.
Now die a rambling man. I wish I could have stayed. I wish I could have changed. But a rambling man is a rambling man by any other name. By any other name. Someday you may forgive me for leaving you all alone, but I can't deny the wanderlust and the call of the open road. Out on the open road, I wish I could have stayed, I wish I could have changed,